Hi, I'm Monsignor Jamie, and welcome to a brand new episode of Breaking Bread. Today we have a special guest with us, Kersti Bowser. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, is it true you went to the Culinary Institute of America?
I sure did. It was a career change and one of the best moves I've ever made in my entire life.
Wow, that's great. My alma mater.
I know it.
A little before you, though. So welcome. I'm so glad you took time from your busy schedule to come on my show. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Well, my job in the business of food is that I work behind the scenes of cooking shows, and so I'm sort of a glorified food stylist. I'm a culinary producer. I produce cooking segments for all kinds of different shows, news segments on programming. Very often, these wonderful chefs that we have, that we adore and love, don't always have the time to prepare ahead of time as they have an interview on a show. And so they have teams like mine. We show up and we prepare. It's almost like a sort of a catering, if you will.
I can relate to that because a lot of times I don't have the time to do all of this. That's great.
Absolutely. When you're that busy, and a lot of the chefs are coming in from their own restaurants, flying in from a different part of the world, a part of the country. They may be on a book tour promoting their cookbooks. And so teams like mine, we will come in and take over sort of for a couple of hours a news programming where we provide the bowls, the plates, the dishware, the forks and knives, but of course we prepare the food ahead of time to a certain degree, and then of course the chefs will come in and sort of finish the job. So
wow.
It's still their recipe, but we are there to help them.
So these days you must be very busy.
We are.
With all the cooking shows and everything that's going on. I mean, that's...
Everyone's got to eat. And luckily for us in the food industry overall, whatever your line of work is in the business of food, people have to eat in every kind of economy. And so, especially in media, that has always been sort of the nice fallback. In any kind of sort of economic situation, you can sit back, watch a show, try to recreate the recipe in your own home. That's a source of entertainment for the whole family. We love restaurants, but sometimes we can't always go to a restaurant, and so we create that sort of environment in our homes.
Wow.
And so we're pretty busy, and I'm very grateful for that.
It's a great concept. Now, you came up with this yourself?
Well, food styling has always been, around in a certain capacity, but it certainly has grown into a bigger sort of untapped, if you will, industry behind the scenes of a lot of films, commercials, cookbooks, magazines, news programming. We also do what's called a satellite media tour. That's pretty much my and my team's forte, if you will. It's live television. We set up sort of, as we've done today in this studio, we set up for a chef where they can be interviewed throughout the morning, let's say 30 different interviews live. That's being sent off throughout the entire scope of the United States. We reset a cooking demonstration over and over again with perhaps a few seconds to reset in between, and that's called a satellite media tour.
Wow.
So it's very kind of interesting. I must say, keeps us on our toes, but there's always a new location every day or every week for us, just like in catering. So we're very
That's
fortunate.
Great. Now, how did you get into that aspect of the food industry? I mean, from going to the Culinary Institute, learning how to cook and prepare, opening your own restaurant, to this segment of the industry.
If you will, I kind of slipped in on a banana peel. I worked in fashion for a very long time. I was in front of the cameras at that point in my life, and I was not allowed to eat as much as I would have liked, but I was always enjoying food. I grew up in the mountains of Sweden for much of my childhood. During the summer, during holiday, I would spend with my grandparents several months out of the year, and I would watch my grandmother cook a lot on a wooden stove, and it would be she would use the resources that were around. And so I grew up developing a love for food with the old-fashioned, old-school way of cooking and utilizing, every ingredient, every part of the ingredient as possible. So there was always that inherent love of food for me. And then as the career change was, I decided, when I finished my modeling, I would really pursue my passion. And this is sort of before it was a bit of a trend. I just always had this love for food. And instead of reading fashion magazines, I always read cookbooks. I had stacks and stacks of cookbooks, even as a child. Julia Child was my babysitter.
Wow.
Basically, because when I'd come home from school, I would turn on, the public, what is it, PBS station, and that was my entertainment as a child. And to this day, I still have this video set. VHS, a whole library of Julia Child, doing my holiday dinners. I still pull out those VHS.
I remember going to the Culinary Institute, going up to the library and putting those VHSs into there and see Julia Child talking about all these different, and then, I'm talking about the late 70s.
Yes.
And they were old then, and she
was a phenomenal.
But it's so true what you said about, you learn from your grandmother. That's where we get our passion about food and eating. And that's, I think, where most great chefs really got instilled with cooking, and their passion became real by watching their parents and grandparents basically use whatever food they had in front of them and really putting their heart and soul into it. Absolutely. Because they were, they had to feed their children. And they wanted it to taste good, and that was all they could give them in those days. They didn't have much today. Kids are spoiled with everything. They get everything they want. Toys and material things. But really, our parents and grandparents had nothing, and they tried their best to provide us whatever they could.
And the heart of the home.
Exactly, and that's true, and it's a shame because that's what's missing today. But thank God we have that, instilled in us, and that's great.
I agree, Monsignor Jamie.
Yeah.
The heart of the home is, of course, the kitchen,
right.
And luckily people still have to eat,
right.
And food is so much a part of the family, and it's coming back into sort of a popular mode,
great.
If you will, and so we're very lucky.
Well, talking about eating, we're going to prepare something here today, so we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll prepare a great new recipe. Don't go away. Welcome back to Breaking Bread. Today here we have our special guest, Kersti Bowser. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, what are we preparing today?
Well, families are so busy, and we have no time these days to do any sort of, fantastic, wonderful, elaborate meals, but making a roasted chicken, sort of a one-pot wonder, if you will, is very easy, and it's still sort of has an elaborate flavor. So we have a beautiful chicken here. We're going to have some sweet potatoes. We have scallions and onions, really flavorful, aromatic, sort of root vegetable feel to the chicken. Very easy, just roasting it, and then having on the side a quinoa, a mix of quinoa with...
Now, what's quinoa?
Oh, quinoa, this is a fantastic grain. I guess it's not officially a grain, but we sort of call it that.
That's from South America,
This is from South America. It's the protein queen of all grains. I mean, this is this has a complete protein and is loaded with omega-3s. It's extremely heart healthy. You can turn this into a porridge. You can have it as a side dish, cold with a salad. You can toss it into anything instead of rice.
So you can add anything to it,
you
vegetables?
You can add anything to it. You can cook it as simply by adding either water or some kind of broth if you want chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth. But quinoa sort of has been sort of the new craze for a while.
Because it's healthy. I mean,
it's heart healthy. It's great as for the vegetarian that needs a complete protein, which is a lot of times
now
very
that'll be served
difficult.
On the side?
And we're going to have the quinoa sort of as a salad on the side.
Okay.
So for now, we're going to start with the chicken. We're going to have some butter inside the
Oh, that's
skin.
why you have me Cuban.
Yes.
I just do as I'm told.
So Monsignor, if you would put some of the
Sure.
butter underneath the skin, and you can do that with any poultry, of course.
Right.
Turkey, we love doing that during the holidays. It just sort of helps the skin to stay crispy and not break and crack during cooking. And then to that, we're going to have half a lemon. And the acid from the lemon is really nice with the butter and helps sort of keep the chicken as it's roasting. Sort of gives it this marination and gives it a nice
to
brightness.
break down the meat also. So.
Absolutely, and if you don't have time to have something, whether it's beef or chicken or pork, laying in a marinade for hours, just popping a little bit of fresh lemon inside the cavity, and there you go. And then we have some garlic.
Chop this up, or
you can even throw it in whole or chop it up. Yep. And then we're going to have some spices. We have some salt and pepper. Very simple. And, a nice roast chicken is sort of like a feeling of holiday, but it's just nice and simple, and the kids can get into, helping you prepare all the vegetables. We have a sweet potato that our friend Robert has helped us out with, and we're going to dump that into the pan. And then we have a really nice surprise, which are apples.
Apples always give a nice flavor, sweetness to it.
Absolutely. And if you want, you can do carrots as well. And Monsignor, I'll give you an apple that you can cut up and throw in there. And if you don't have carrots and you have a couple of apples around because the kids use them for school, or just pop them into any dish that you have at home. And it gives a nice sweetness, nice balance. So you have the lemon, the acid from the lemon, you have the sweetness of the sweet potato, which is also very heart healthy, by the way. Sweet potatoes are also part of this, sort of healthy aspect of eating, especially with a grain like quinoa. You don't really need anything else. If you're a vegetarian, you can go with quinoa and a sweet potato.
I love apples, I love sweet potatoes. I guess I like sweet things.
Nothing wrong with that. So it looks great. And you can already, it smells so wonderfully fragrant already from the apples. And then whatever herbs that you might have at home. Today we have some basil.
Can't go wrong with basil.
Can't go wrong with basil. And it looks beautiful. And then we have some onions, Monsignor. Thank you. Yep, you can toss those in there. And already, it's just,
but this is
it's a feast. It's a feast for the eyes.
In a pot.
And then a little bit of olive oil we can drizzle over, please.
There we go.
Great. And in the meantime, we've got some quinoa that I'm going to bring over that's done. That looks amazing. Fantastic. So we're going to put this in the oven at 400 degrees at about 20 minutes per pound.
So it's about 4 pounds, about an hour and 20 minutes.
Correct. Yep.
Wait. A little salt.
Oh yeah,
A little
salt.
Is that all the flavors?
Sure does. And sometimes, salt can scare people a little bit, but a little bit of sea salt or kosher salt actually will draw out the flavors, and you don't have to use that much to enhance your dish.
What about a little water in there, or maybe?
A little bit of water. You can pour that over, and that will help sort of get your vegetables steaming, of course, and then as the time goes by, the water will evaporate a bit, but it will also sort of concentrate down all these beautiful flavors, and you'll have sort of a nice base for a sauce. It looks beautiful, and it smells great, so you can't go wrong.
Now, if someone wanted to, a lot of times people are conscious about time, if someone wanted to put this in their crock pot, they could do the same thing.
I love crock pots.
Before they go to work in the morning, put it on, let it sit for 8 hours on, very, very low temperature. And you come home and your dinner's ready.
And it's done, and that's exactly right. I love crock pots. I think that it's such a great old craze that's coming back. You have crock pots of every size, every shape, every form.
A meal in a dish.
It's a meal in a dish, fantastic. And the kids can get involved with that. They can dump everything into their crock pot. You know that it's safe. They just turn on the dial and walk away, and come back in the evening and it's done.
And like I say, people like these one pot dishes where you put everything in the pot when the dish is simple. And like we said, people are very busy working and families and stuff like that, but a lot of this stuff can be all prepared on the weekend. Go shopping one day, prepare all your meals, 3-4 meals for the week.
Absolutely.
And you come home and just pop it in the oven, or in the morning, pop it in the crock pot, and you're set.
And it's family friendly for
And
sure.
it's better than fast food.
Yes, it is, and it's easy, and it's not
And
very
healthier.
expensive. Exactly. You don't have to spend a lot of money for it to be a
And
healthy
it is.
alternative.
You know, a lot of people, you know, they think they're saving money by going to fast food, but it costs a lot of money. I mean, this is really, I mean, it's basic stuff, and you go shopping, you can watch the sales.
Exactly.
And you can have a nice meal for a good price.
Absolutely. Use the coupons and watch out for the
Yes.
sales. So
Great.
should we put this in the
Let's
oven?
go.
Thank you. Okay.
So that looks good for about an hour and 20 minutes. That'll be done. So we'll come back.
We'll come back.
Okay. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away. Welcome back to Breaking Bread, and today you're lucky enough to have 2 CIA graduates cooking for you. So we have our chicken in the oven. That should be done shortly.
Yes.
And now we're going to have some quinoa.
Quinoa, one of my favorite grains.
That's something new today. I mean, it's becoming, it's popping up on menus here and there. In
And you
health
can
food
find
stores.
it, yes, you can definitely find it in health food stores, but even now in your local grocery, more and more often
Okay.
you can find it. And quinoa is this fantastic grain. It's an Aztec grain. It's a complete protein for those who are just vegetarian and or vegans who would like to find a complete protein. And we have a couple of other different versions here. This is a red quinoa, which can be sort of a nice fun change, and has a little bit more of a nuttier flavor than the lighter counterpart. And then this is called a sprouted quinoa,
Sorted, like.
and that has a little more fiber to it.
Okay.
And it's just also another sort of fun confetti style.
Now this is very easy to cook.
So easy, just like rice or pasta. You have 2 parts of liquid, whether it's chicken broth, beef broth,
Or even water, if you
or
want.
water. And I actually like doing it with water, mostly because we don't always have, finished broth at home.
Right, and then
so
you
it's
flavor
easy.
whatever you
And
wanna
you
put
flavor it with whatever you put in there.
You can put a little butter if you want. I mean, it's not that healthy,
Hey,
but
I love butter.
it's
Who
tasty.
doesn't love butter?
So you have this already prepared.
So we prepared it. This took only about 10 minutes to cook.
Okay.
It's a nice and fluffy quinoa. It has like sort of little spirals to it, which is kind of fun. You can make this as a porridge instead of having oatmeal.
Okay.
Or add it to your oatmeal as you're cooking it, and you'll have a really nice, flavorful, nutty sort of
Looks a little bit
start
like,
to your morning.
couscous, right?
It's like couscous,
Right.
which you can also replace this instead of couscous with a sort of a tangine style meal, which is really
Okay.
nice. And to this lovely mixture, we're going to have some yellow squash that we
Okay.
cooked a
You
little
cooked
bit
this
earlier.
already?
Yep, we
Pour
cooked
it in?
that, so we can pour that in.
Okay.
And what's really fun is we're going to mix in the same pot that we cooked the, whether it's rice or today we have quinoa. You don't want to have to do so many
Less
dishes.
pots
we love
to
that.
wash.
Absolutely, Monsignor. And here we
Mushrooms?
have some beautiful porcini mushrooms, but you
Okay.
can use, of course, any kind of mushroom. And for those of you who don't like mushrooms, you use whatever you
Who
have at
doesn't
home.
like mushrooms?
I don't know. We love mushrooms. And there we have some red peppers that have been, what we say, blanched off.
So par cooked.
Par cooked, exactly. And then we can do a little sea salt if we'd like,
Okay.
and add any kind of, if you want a little spiciness to it, we have a little chili powder. I absolutely love quinoa. I'm crazy about quinoa. And then we can have a little bit of olive oil that you have to your
Okay.
side there. Thank you.
Tell me when.
Okay. And when. That looks great. And then give that a nice little toss.
Okay.
Chefs love to toss their
Yes.
food. They really do.
We say fold or toss, not to blend.
Exactly.
We want this folded together.
Now,
Wow, look
Monsignor,
at how it's all like
Isn't that
sticking
beautiful?
to all the vegetables, and it's so colorful too.
it's so colorful. It's like confetti. I love it. It's and the kids, they may sort of scoff at you at first, but once they get a taste for it, they will love it, and it will fill their bellies if they have it for a breakfast. It will keep them going, or the adults too for half the day. I promise you that.
I'm going to try this in the morning instead of my oatmeal.
It's a fantastic alternative. You can have it with almond milk or, you know, of course with milk. And I was a little curious about your CIA days. You were telling me about your rah-rah, which I didn't learn that until just today.
That was like a theme song for the culinary.
I'd love to hear it again.
We used to go, I remember, you know, on Friday and Saturdays, we used to have baseball games or they used to have football games. And we would be out there and we'd be cheering them on and we would say, mirepoix, mirepoix, roux, roux, roux. Dice them up, slice them up, put them in the stew. You didn't learn that?
We did not learn that, and I love that. And what mirepoix is
carrots, celery, and onions. That's the mirepoix.
Yeah.
The roux is flour and water, or flour and butter to thicken with sauces.
Yep.
Mirepoix, roux. Slice them up, dice them up, put them in the stew.
I love that. I might bring that back to the CIA. And the CIA is the Culinary Institute of America, which is a phenomenal school.
Yes.
It's the Harvard of cooking schools, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, it is. There's no place like it. I don't care what anyone says. You have probably the greatest group of chefs there from around the world. The facilities are, you cannot
phenomenal
match anywhere.
And they're so passionate about their craft.
And you have students from all over the world too, and like the chefs. So, everyone brings their own flair, their own skill, their own, knowledge to the place. So really, not only you're learning from the master chefs, you're also learning from one another.
Agreed.
And you come there with a great ideas and different background cultures, and it's great. It really is.
And any cooking school, if you can be lucky enough to get into any cooking school, even if you can't get into the Culinary Institute of America, it's a little farther away from where you live and so on. Any cooking school will be helpful.
Oh yeah, but I tell you, when you go for a job, if you say you went to the CIA, it's like you're in the door.
The door is open. Absolutely,
and then I know
agree.
a number of people after they graduated the CIA, then they went off to the FBI.
Now what is
the FBI, the Food and Beverage Institute.
Well, guess what? I'm the KGB. I'm Kersti Geraldine Bowser.
Oh, wow. Let's see, JJG. I have to think of something. But this looks great. Isn't
this fantastic? And the kids love this.
Plate this up?
So we'll plate this up and we'll get our chicken out of the oven.
Why don't you plate this up and I'll go get the chicken.
And I've always loved how... I always love one-pot dishes.
Wow, that looks great.
Look at that. So now you have two one-pot dishes. You have a quinoa mixed with all kinds of wonderful vegetables. You can do root vegetables, squashes, which is what we have here. And then you have your other one-pot wonder, this beautifully roasted chicken. And we can do a little garnish of scallions on your chicken if you'd like.
Sure, if you're going to serve this at home, you could put this whole dish right on the table.
Right on the table, so everybody can dig in.
Put a little garnish on here.
Okay. That looks fantastic. And already, just alone for the vegetarian, this is a complete dish for them.
That looks great. That really looks good. Shall we try this chicken?
I can't wait.
Let's see, we'll get a dish over here.
Any time of the year, this is a great sort of meal to have.
Want to plate a little of the rice and as a bed for
Thank
here.
you.
And let's see.
And I love dishware like this. Part of my job as a culinary producer is to find the proper dishware and plates and so forth for the chefs that you see on television. And it adds to the, you eat with your eyes first sort of concept. And also what we have for a side dish are very simply we have roasted carrots. And what I think is really fun, when you have a root vegetable that you leave a little bit of the stem on, as we have here on your grill platter. We left the stems on just a little bit for the wow factor. And to grill it's very easy. You just take a little bit of olive oil, sea salt, and pepper. I always say sea salt, but I tend to say...
we get some of these vegetables that are here, some of the apples, and
there you go. Oh, that looks
sweet
amazing.
Potatoes.
And you see all the beautiful broth that was created by just,
the apples and then the water and the juices.
Beautiful. That is one juicy chicken.
Yes.
And that's from doing it in one dish with a little bit of water, olive oil, and the butter, of course.
Oh, the butter, sure.
The butter gave it a lot of sort of crispiness.
And it keeps the chicken moist, too, underneath the skin. As it's cooking, it doesn't fall off. It's going right down into the meat.
Going right down into the meat.
And when I sliced it, you could see how the leg and the thigh came right off the bone.
It's fantastic. It's sort of self-marinating, if you will.
That looks great.
Fantastic. Are you ready to
I
give
think
it a try?
so. Yeah. Taste.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'll dig right into the sweet potatoes. And
Wow, these
onion.
apples are gorgeous.
Little piece of chicken with that.
Oh, wow. Delicious. That is Thanksgiving.
All in one.
All in one. In one bite. That's Thanksgiving in one bite. That's delicious.
It's like melting in your mouth.
It's outstanding.
And the flavors are unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Really great.
You have this beautiful meld of sweet and a little bit of heightened acid from the lemon, which gives a nice balance. And then the carrots, of course, are adding their own little flavor to everything.
I mean, it almost
roasted.
looks too good to eat. It looks too good to eat.
It's Thanksgiving on one dish.
Well, thank you so much for joining
you.
us. I hope you come back, soon. Maybe
Definitely,
in a
I
couple of
will.
weeks you can come back and we'll do something else.
Thank you. I most certainly will.
It's not that often where you get two culinary graduates in the same kitchen.
Well, we might have to do a little contest,
Yes,
Monsignor.
maybe we'll do a little showdown there,
A little showdown.
That would be great.
Thank you so much for having
If
me.
you like to try this recipe at home, here it is. Thanks for watching this episode of Breaking Bread. Make sure you come back soon. Thank you once again for joining us as we go into our neighborhoods to meet the members of our church family in Brooklyn and Queens, where they are, in their kitchens and around their tables. We hope we have taught you something today, not only about the dishes we have prepared, but also about the great people who make up our family of faith in our ethnically diverse city. The 3 F's of life are faith, family, and food. And there is no better way to experience them all than in our kitchens and around our dinner table at the end of each day. You just have to make the time to make it happen. This is Monsignor Jamie reminding you that together we can continue to build the church by devoting ourselves to community, prayer, the teaching of the apostles, and the breaking of the bread. May God bless you always.